Okay, hello everyone. Sorry we're a little bit late. It's my fault. It's a little bit rusty as I've been away for a while. But welcome to the What Does the Data Tell You show. And this week I'm really pleased to be talking to two companies, in fact, talking to Circloscope and also to Nod3x, who have had some pretty exciting news over the last few weeks since I was back from my holiday. But more about that in a little bit. The What Does the Data Tell You show was really brought about for two reasons. Number one was to help all the marketeers out there to understand the different platforms to use and how to use them, relating back to case studies generally. So it's not really to publicize particular platforms, but to look at case studies and how you can use data. Secondly, and most importantly, the real reason why we looked at taking this show on was that I often fear that data is so instrumental in marketing, and yet it's so often feared. And we're trying to take away that fear, and just saying, look, you can do some pretty cool stuff with data depending on which platform you use. So just to take it on a step, for those of you who are watching live on Google+, we're using what's called the Showcase app, which means that you should see some links on the right or the left-hand side. I can never remember which way it is. And if you want to comment or ask questions to the panel that we've got here, there's a little button on, I think it's that side, which has got a little arrow in a box. If you click that, it'll take the Hangout into a separate box, and you can still invite questions into the event page. If you're watching this outside of Google+, by all means use Twitter to use the hashtag Data Show, and we will bring those questions in. And always, if you are watching this, a bit long-winded this, if you're watching this as a recording, you can always get the links that we're posting on this Showcase app on whichever side it is, by going to the bottom left-hand corner, and there's a little box which says "Be part of the conversation," and you can get all the links that we talk about. So we're here to talk about, as I said, data. We're here to talk about specifically two companies, and I'm going to let the guys downstairs in the film strip introduce themselves and the companies. So we're here to talk about Nod3x and Circloscope. So why don't we kick it off with Nod3x? So Lee, John, do you want to kick this off?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Lee Smallwood. Founded Nod3x 3 years ago now, and basically the application is an online application that takes data from Google+ and other social networks, and it helps identify key influencers and engagers talking about any topic.
There you go, pretty straightforward and pretty cool. So let's bring in Craig as well from the Circloscope side. So Craig, do you want to just, in a nutshell, sort of talk about the world of Circloscope for us?
Sure. So I'm Craig Fifield, the co-founder or a co-founder of Circloscope. And what Circloscope does is it enables you to extract or to build your circles more quickly and efficiently than you can by hand. And then once you do that, you can then filter them further and also clean your circles. So you basically, it's just a much easier, quicker way to manage your circles.
Good stuff, good stuff. And one of the things I must say is that this Hangout, I suppose, in essence, whereas Nod3x is quite, it's platform agnostic in a way, Circloscope is quite Google+ centric. And what we're going to be talking about here is really this integration between these two companies. So elements of this will be quite Google+ orientated. But I'm sure we can expand a little bit into Nod3x and some of its other aspects. But we've got Carmen, obviously, is looking at this, which is great. So Carmen, the audience is sitting down and I'm ready to learn. That's pretty cool. I love a cat. That's cool. That's a pretty cool picture. We've got Cara joining us as well. Great panel today. She must like you guys.
Hey, Cara.
Nice to see you, Cara.
And another one, Christ, Kirsten. Also thanks for a pretty cool panel. That's nice.
I think I saw Mia check in too.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Mia, you're in there as well. So, okay, well, look, let's just talk about one thing. And like I said, we're going to talk about this integration. And this was covered quite well in a very, very compact 30-minute TNT bootcamp hangout with Ronnie Bincer and Christine de Graaf. Was it last week? Was it, Lee?
Week before, I believe, but I'm completely out of sync with my time, so it may well have been last week.
It's going too quickly at the moment, isn't it? It's crazy.
Oh, tell me about it.
But look, that was a 30-minute show in terms of a real sort of broad discussion about Nod3x and Circloscope. So I highly recommend that. In the Showcase app that we've got here as well, I've actually got a link to that 30-minute discussion, and that covers an awful lot. So what we're going to try and do is to really go through elements of that, but really concentrate a lot more on that integration and what it means to you guys. And I think, Lee, you made a really big, almost a throwaway comment in that Hangout, which was that this integration is taking the complexity out of managing the data. And I just wonder if you can just expand on that slightly for me for a second and sort of just give people a taste of that.
Yeah, I mean, as you were, rightly said, people are afraid of data, irrespective of the size of the business. Primarily because it's a mess. All right, data comes in all different shapes and sizes, and unless you know what you want from it at the onset, if you don't have that, it'll always stay a mess. Because of the sheer volume and quantity of it. But once you actually start to understand what your questions are that you want to get answered, then we can start formulating some questions. And with the integration of Circloscope, which was a massive thing for us because it was such and is such a great partnership. Primarily because Nod3x, we can identify influences very, very quickly based on a set of algorithms. And from there, we're now able to send that data straight to Circloscope to manage, whether it's from an engagement perspective, circles, or from an influencer perspective, circles. Instantaneous. So it's seamless. And therefore, again, it's all about enhancing that user experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's put it into context for people, because what I normally try and do in the data show is try and bring you a case study to try and put these platforms and tools to you, so you can get a bit more of an idea. Today is a little bit more difficult because obviously it's quite a specific area. But what I want to talk about is this aspect of influencer marketing. One of the primary focuses, I believe, if ever you're starting on a social media platform, or if ever you're looking at doing a promotion for a tool or a company, or if you're just wanting to find an area of interest, finding the influencers, whether they're a person or a product, is absolutely the primary must. Coming on and joining Google+, going on and joining Facebook, it's an absolute waste of your time if you're just going to almost, let's say, find the right people. If you find the wrong people who are producing the wrong content, it's a waste of your time and you'll get nothing back from it. If you are a company looking to produce valuable content that you want to share with influencers, I often use it, and it's akin to, in the real world, if you've got something really great to say, and you open up a door to a room, and you walk in, and you shout out this most fantastic bit of news that you've got, and there's no one in the room, it's absolutely pointless spending all that time and effort building that content. So let me just bring in here sort of a diagram, which I've shared in the event page if you are on Google+, a little bit earlier on. Because what we want to do today within Nod3x and Circloscope is basically look at this framework for influencer marketing and talk about primarily these first 2 points here, which is this define and this point here, discover. Really and truly, the whole nature of influencer marketing follows this plan. So number one, define your audience. Work out what it is you want to be following. Number two, discover the right influencers. That is absolutely key to everything that we've got here. And I think this point that influence is contextual is of primary importance. Number three, it talks here about monitoring influencers for opportunities. This is where I really look at bringing in the things like Circloscope and actually setting up notification circles. So you're using your circle management to basically monitor these influencers and start listening to what they're talking about. Then you're talking about taking actions and engaging. And then you're talking measuring results. We're not necessarily going to cover that today, but really what I want to just do is sort of hand it over to John and to Lee, and basically take us through that sort of point one and point two here of defining and discovering the right people. So, John, Lee, can I ask you to sort of just take us through very basically about using Nod3x in terms of finding those influencers, and then take us up to that point where that Circloscope integration comes in, that we can then hand it over. Is that fair enough?
Absolutely. Go for it, John.
Sure. Well, to me, I guess defining your audience is all about finding those people who are interested in the conversation that you're having. And to me, Nod3x is able to connect me or anyone with that audience by showing me the conversation that they're having, the words that they're using, the hashtags that they're using. We particularly like to talk about hashtags a little bit because it's a kind of a more semantic way of looking at that connection. And you know, we all often talk about the word semantic, and some people's eyes glaze over, and some people get really interested. But essentially, semantic is the relationship between that conversation and the relative space around it, I guess you could say. So, to me, Nod3x helps you define your audience quite well by sort of narrowing down your field of focus into that audience and really getting to know those people on a level that you otherwise would not be able to know them on. So I think that's helpful and important, and a way that Nod3x can really, it compresses the amount of time that it takes to discover that audience and to relate to that audience. Otherwise, we're just, you know, using the primary tools, Google Plus directly, or Facebook, or Twitter, or whatever. But it can take a good bit of time to connect with an audience without a tool like Nod3x. So to me, it really is a time saver.
Yeah, I think, you know, just from that, for people that are, you know, not necessarily application or data mining savvy or semantic web savvy, everything starts with a keyword, a word, or a hashtag. And you can start basically discovering specific people just by starting a project with one keyword or one hashtag, and then discover how many people are posting using that phrase or hashtag. And from there, everything else ensues from it. So, for example, you can, or Nod3x will identify, based upon, in a small part, how many people are engaging on those posts that contain that phrase. Now, one could argue that the more people that engage on a post containing that phrase, does it make that post influential, and therefore that the individual that's posted it influential? Potentially, yes. All right, but at least it can highlight to you that there's a bit of buzz going on over here, all right, relating to that phrase that you've entered or hashtag. But then coming on from there, Nod3x is also able to identify, just by from one hashtag that you've entered as a search query, if you like, all of the other hashtags that are associated or being used by people also talking about that subject. So therefore, that opens up a potential for finding further influencers and topic engagers as well. So it's kind of like a snowball. It just keeps going and going and going.
And I must say, Lee, I think you've picked up on a really valid point there, which is anybody who's looking to get into this influencer marketing, it's all about that hashtag in the single word.
Yeah.
That's where it all starts. And I hope we can sort of go through a case study if either of you have got anything up there that you can show, because primarily one of the problems here before this integration was that it was particularly difficult if you use a tool like Circloscope to do a search on Google Plus in the search bar at the top and put in, I don't know, I'm going to use this because I think this is brilliant, from Cheryl, who's just watching here, saying, might seem trivial, but I've used Nod3x to follow some bacon hashtags, post just for fun.
Yeah.
Now beforehand, before that was all kicking off, you used to have to, ooh, I'm just sharing my screen for some reason. Let's just come off of that, there we go. Beforehand, you used to try and use a search bar up there, and you used to type in hashtag bacon at the top. And all of a sudden, you would then get a whole list of people, or pages, or communities, or whatever, to try and follow. And it was often quite a manual process, one by one by one by one. Okay. And then in Circloscope, yes, there were certain event fields that you could do, so if you liked a particular event, you could then group people from an event, but it was still quite difficult and quite a manual intervention. So the reason this integration is so important is because you can group people around a hashtag, go into Nod3x, pull it out. As Lee, you rightly said, you can then find the associated hashtags as well, and then most importantly, find the most active posts and the most active people around those topics.
Absolutely.
So, could we put an example, John? You've got one.
I've got one here. Ready?
Tell me it's hashtag bacon.
I've got hashtag bacon, unfortunately, but I do have Disney because it's fair. I was trying to look for something fairly neutral. Yeah. So if I'm able just to share my screen with you. So again, you know, this is just one of the things we do. We track the top 100 brands worldwide just using Nod3x, just to have a look at certain mentions and what's going on and what's topical. And
just, sorry, Lee, if you can just increase the size of your screen a little bit so we can zoom in, that'd be
absolutely
brilliant.
So bear with me. Let me switch back over to that. How's that?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So basically, what we now have.
So this is just a Nod3x dashboard, right? For those people who haven't used Nod3x before.
Yeah.
This is a dashboard.
Yeah, this is just a dashboard, which basically is what I liken to a real-time infographic more than anything, because it gives you the answers when you need it in real time. But and it's part of our new integration with Circloscope. What we've done here, all of the posts here are related to Google Plus or come from Google Plus, and you can see we've added their little icon here. And you've got a little tooltip. You can manage this with Circloscope. And what it actually does, when you click that, you can see here, this post has got 512 plus ones, 37 comments, and 31 reshares with a reach of 1.2 million people. So it's fairly, important if you were trying to follow people or in comments and engagements relating to Disney. So all I need to do now is just click that, and automatically then Nod3x transfers the whole of that data over to Circloscope, and there's a little message just pop up here on the right hand side that says Nod3x Engagers list is ready. Yeah, and all I need to do then is just click on that, and it will load everybody that has engaged on that one post, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Oh, well done, well done.
I love watching it happen.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of like Tetris on steroids. It's like everything's flowing down.
But tell you what though, Lee, I mean, if we can just take it back, just to explain how cool this is and how important it is.
Yeah.
So previously, if you wanted to find out the influences of the Disney hashtag, you would type into Google Plus in this instance, hashtag Disney. It would then show all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to easily find the top post, the top engagers. It would be almost impossible. So using data, and so bringing it back onto sort of the What Does the Data Tell You show, the cool bit about your dashboard, which we're looking at here now, is the fact that we sort of almost glossed over the amount of sheer data that is being put into this. And what we've just done is, for the ease of this conversation, is skipped to the point that we found the top post.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I can't even imagine what goes on behind the scenes here. But we're trying to talk about influencer marketing. We found the influencer. Smosh Games has written this post. Come on, Disney, make it happen. And this is the most engaging post for the last, 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And so we're saying, well, let's try and find who these people are who are engaging in the post. And that's, if I'm right, that's when by pressing this little Circloscope button, which is this integrate button, you're then in one fell swoop able to open up every single engager of that post.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Now what should we do with it? How do we say, well, let's play around with these guys? What do we do?
Craig, to you.
Can you keep that up on your screen there, Lee?
I will do.
So from here, you could just flat out circle everyone, because you know that these people have engaged with the post. But what a lot of people do, you might as well show that, Lee. Should just show quickly how easy it is to add them all to a circle.
And then circle, add. From here, you can either select an existing circle or
create a new one. But you can even take these people and filter them further before you add them to a circle. So you could just extract just the people that reshared, because those would be really influential people, and you may not want to, always be adding hundreds of people to your circles. You could just focus on the commenters, or even just the +1ers. That's the main functions that people would use this for. And from there, what you do is you end up with topic circles and start interacting and engaging with those people. And I use it to kind of feed me content ideas, get support, get engagers around me around topics for posts that I've created. I'm working on a Facebook post right now that I've been using this for to get in touch with all the engagers and influencers that are talking about Facebook on Google Plus, before I'm done with my post, so that when my post comes out, they'll go, hey, you know, I like Facebook too, so now I'm going to share this and engage with this, and you really see your engagement rate increase significantly the more you target your circles in that type of manner.
I'll tell you what, if I can just ask a question of that. While I'm doing this, Lee, would you mind just zooming in on that screen a little bit more, so people who are perhaps watching this recorded will be able to see the filtering system? Because one of the things that I just want to talk about here is about this circle management process. When I was new to Google+, I was told there are two amazing things about Google+, which sets it aside from any other platform out there. And the first one was Hangouts, which is obviously what we're doing here and experimenting with. And the second one was circles, and being able to differentiate your audience. And the one thing that I heard consistently was, whatever you do, make sure you manage your circles correctly. From the first day that you come on, understand how circles work and orientate it that way. And obviously, I ignored it totally. And as such, I'm still fighting that battle now. I think most people are. John, did you do that? Craig, did you understand it to start with?
No, I did exactly what you did.
Yeah, I actually added a couple of shared circles, and everything just exploded, and that's how I ended up finding Circloscope. It was one of the only ways to clean those circles, to get rid of the the people that you don't need to be engaging with.
Tell me about it. It was a nightmare.
The time wasters.
But I tell you what, do you know what? For me now, it's still a difficulty now, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the story around why, for me, Circloscope sort of was really interesting, because we were looking at building circle building. For me as a profile, and also for different clients who wanted to build their profiles and brands on Google Plus to get to the sort of the magic 1,000 followers on Google Plus, enabled to get their Plus post ads. And so we use Circloscope. And what I did to start with, because I didn't understand it necessarily, was I started looking at communities, and I started looking at large communities, and we would then use Circloscope to find relevant communities, and we would follow people in that community. But what we found was that you couldn't necessarily guarantee that you were getting live people. I don't mean alive, I mean live people on the Google Plus network. And you couldn't guarantee if they were engaging or plus oneing or doing anything at all. So you were just almost spamming your own circles with crap. And what we found is we'd almost have a static strategy that we would be building circles. We'd get to the end of the month, then we'd use Circloscope again to cull everybody that wasn't engaging. But you still weren't filling very much. And what we've now found since this whole integration here and this whole methodology of finding the posts through Nod3x, finding the hashtags, finding the people that engage, and what I just want to really pick up on is what you just said there, Craig, about the filtering aspect, because that for me is primarily important in terms of how you build your circles. And I think they often say that it's very, very easy to plus one.
Right.
It's not so easy to comment and share, and arguably in terms of your content that you want to get out there, as well as you finding people who are engaging with other aspects of what you're interested in, it's the commenters and the sharers that you want to filter on Circloscope.
Yep.
Would you mind just going through that, Craig, again, in terms of what you can do with the circles that are pulled in from Nod3x, and how you as Circloscope manage the filtering and what you can and can't do? Because I think that is something which is often overlooked.
Sure. There's quite a lot of things you can do, but I'll touch on the most important. And so we've already talked about, you basically have the three different types of people that have engaged with the post. It's the plus oneers, the resharers, and the commenters. So you can filter out or filter in any one of those three, depending on how you want to build your circles. And then from there, and like you're saying, plus ones really aren't worth that much because they're so easy for people to give. So a lot of the pros that use Circloscope tend to stay focused on the reshares and the commenters. But from there, if you maybe you imported a large community or some very popular posts, that could still be hundreds of people. So the next step would be to filter out things like people that don't have a profile image, people that have been inactive for the past 2 weeks, those that don't follow you back. Those are probably the main ways people filter their circles, and basically just to get it down to the most active, engaging people possible.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And if I just blue box you there, Lee, for a second. So, and if I'm correct, this is where you do it. So you pull all the people into Circloscope from Nod3x, and you can then filter it out from here. So you mentioned,
Right.
I think you mentioned about the blue head, which I always think is something which, when you're new to Google Plus, you're not particularly familiar with. But blue head is just when there's no icon picture, I think, if I'm correct.
Right, right. And the idea there is they may be a real person, but on average, for someone that doesn't have their profile image, or it hasn't taken the care to add that to their profile, probably isn't someone that should be at the top of your list to engage with, at least not right now. So a lot of people like to filter those out.
Absolutely. And is there anything else in terms of these filters that you would recommend sort of people looking at as well when they're pulling all this stuff in from Nod3x or not?
Not really. I think it gets... so what I like to do, actually, that you could do from here is that the people that... I left this one out, is the people that are not following you, or not already following you. So that's the follows filter up on the right. So instead of just pulling everybody in and you keep recircling the same people, you just check that and you only circle the people that don't already have you in a circle.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay, cool. So, okay, so look, just a quick run through before we just ask in some sort of little questions that are coming in. In fact, actually, before I do that, I will just mention that I've also just put on that showcase app there some videos from the Circloscope YouTube channel. There's a link there that you can go to, and I presume they're all the study videos. Is that right, Craig, of how to use Circloscope and everything like that?
Right. Yeah, you'll see a couple overview videos, and then quite a few tutorials that show kind of the key features of what you can do with Circloscope.
Cool. So just so you remember as well. If you are watching this live, the Showcase app is there that you can click on all the links. If you're watching this recorded, there's a little button at the bottom left-hand side, I think, or bottom right-hand side of your screen, which says Be Part of the Conversation. Click on that, and all the links that we're talking about here, which are links to Circloscope, Nod3x, my site, all these guys on Google+, as well as the YouTube videos, and a previous Hangout performed by Ronnie Bincer and Christine de Graaf about Circloscope and Nod3x integration with some sort of more basic side of things as well. Are all available on that Showcase app, so I hope you guys can find that. But look, what we've just sort of gone through there really is about this defining and discovering of content and people, using the data that is provided by Nod3x to find the influence in your space. That's the most important factor about all of this. And we're sort of coming to the end. It's not really a particularly long show, this. I just want to sort of talk. Obviously, there are costs involved in the use of Circloscope and the use of Nod3x. I wonder if you guys would mind just sharing a little bit about how that works.
Sure. We have 3 versions of Circloscope. So we have a free version which does everything except bulk adds and removes of people, bulk adds, bulk circles or uncircling, and it also doesn't do business pages. But it's great to use on your profile, and it's a great way to try out Circloscope. And that's at Circloscope/free. And then we have the premium and the pro versions. And the premium version is $47 a year, and that allows you to run it on 1 profile and 3 business pages. So that's great for most social media consultants. And then we have the pro version, which is exactly the same as the premium version, except that you can do up to 15 different business pages.
Okay. And then how does this Nod3x integration work, guys?
So from our perspective, in order to access the Circloscope integration, we've got 2 Google Plus levels, if you like. We've got the Google Plus free, where you can analyze and get a dashboard or 2 complete dashboards with all of the analysis that you've seen there for free. However, it doesn't include the Circloscope integration. But what we've done is, for those people that are looking for that little bit more, a little bit more time saving, if you like, then for $9 or £5 a month, you get Circloscope integration. You get the ability to write and schedule posts based on insights that Nod3x provides, and you can manage an unlimited amount of Google Plus brand pages as well.
Brilliant. And I think this is quite important, really, from this, because on this obviously show being about what does the data tell you, we've really focused a lot here today about the G Plus side, the Google Plus side. What I'm keen to do in the future couple of months is we're going to get Nod3x back in again to talk about, the very concept of nodes and what we can do with their platform on Facebook, Twitter, and the like, because we've been a bit Google Plus centric on this one. But look, let's live by what you guys in Circloscope have put out here, which is saying, work smarter, not harder. I think that's primarily important. I love this little lot. So you got Carmen here saying the live is impressive to watch. Am I becoming a geek? Absolutely, Carmen. Absolutely. And do you know what? It's a good thing to become a number geek. That's good. Cheryl's also geek. Hey, this is good. We're all geeking out. And lastly, the one which I really liked was this one, guys. I think the geeking out dance. I've never seen that before, but look, I want to see that in there. So look, last and not least, I mean, is there anything further on this integration stuff coming in, guys? Is there any sort of sneak peeks you can give us on what's going to happen in the future, or is this sort of it for now?
Well, I don't think it's it for now. There's a lot of talks, and Craig and myself are going to have another quick chat after this show. So there's stuff bubbling in the pipeline, let's just say that, which I think from both our perspectives I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. No secrets now, then. That's
no secrets.
No, not secrets.
I might just make them up. All right. Well, look, we're gonna end it there. It's 35 minutes in, so it's a short snapshot on data. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Obviously, this is a really cool tool to be able to use, and this integration is ever so important. Don't forget, please, any marketer out there, when you're entering a new space or a new topic, or you're trying to look for a new product, I do it every single day. I remember my influencer marketing. I remember that entire cyclical nature of the 5-phased approach to building up your marketing circles, whether it be Google Plus actually or outside of that. So please look at using Nod3x and Circloscope to do that from the Google Plus side. And I look forward to sharing with you other stories about how to use data for all the other aspects of marketing which are out there on the What Does the Data Tell You show. This time next week, we've got the midweek marketing mix is coming back. We've got special guests. We've got Mia Voss coming in, Ryan Handley. Who else? We've got Wade coming in. Forgive me, Wade, I can't remember your surname. James Reynolds coming. That's it. That's the one. James Reynolds coming in, all talking about different parts of marketing and sort of what's new and exciting and different over the last couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Wednesday next week, 5 p.m. BST, 9 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. EST. So I hope you'll join us for that one then. So guys, hopefully I'll see you next week. Craig, John, Lee, thank you ever so much for joining me. It's been a great pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Have a nice day. Enjoy.